I almost wanted it to be like, where I'm hitting the pen, like, hey, man.
Hey, we can pull them out.
Right?
We in the Super Bowl. We can do
That's
whatever we
it,
want.
man. This is our week. Get on board, people. Get on our schedule. All right.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and a good evening. Let's go. Eagles at Night. That is the title. I am Sean Brace. The man who is joining me has a hell of a following on YouTube, does an unbelievable job talking all things Philadelphia Eagles, and he's doing a great job since he's joined us on The Gambler. You catch his videos. And full disclosure, I wish we could hire everybody 9 to 5 that could just work for us during the daytime, because you get a lot more of Joe Castro. But of course, our schedules are a little bit of conflicting at times. So I look forward. One of the reasons why I thought of this Eagles at Night, Joe, was specifically for you. So we're kicking things off on a Monday evening here. Eagles at Night, really loose. Everybody get your questions in, your comments in. We want to hear from you. Of course, Joe, we were just talking before we went live here. The bravado is setting in, and that's where we're going to open up. First of all, let's just jump right into this, man. How are you doing? How's everything going down in your world?
I'm great. I'm amazing. My team's in the Super Bowl. I know you feeling the same. I'm anxious though. It feels like a kid, like right before Christmas. I see the tree. I know that there's going to be gifts under there, or I might even see some of the gifts. Right? We see some of the gifts, but we can't open them yet. We got to wait till Sunday. So I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm an Eagles fan, so it's all normal, I guess, at this point.
Well, we're going to hopefully exercise some of those demons, but at the end of the day, it is one game and anything can happen. And look, what took place in 57, that hurt.
Yeah.
Of course, what took place when the Eagles went out to Minneapolis, that was the best feeling. So we know what's at stake at this point in time, but it's going to be a lot of fun, of course, talking about this game leading up all week. It was great last week, but now we are here. It is Super Bowl week, and our Eagles are down there. Of course, it's media night. What are they calling it? Opening night again? Is that NFL Super Bowl opening night? Yes. So
free for all. That's what it
is. You see that dude with the Fox Sports mic and dressed up like a toy soldier in Jalen's grill?
Some people, you heard one of them asked, how do I get more handsome? They asked Jalen Hurts, how do I become more handsome guy? Some of the people that get accepted for these, I'm trying to figure out how they're getting into these, but hey, it is what it is. God bless everybody out there. I hope they have fun.
You're right about that. There are a lot of people out there that are credentialed. Like, damn, that dude got credentialed. Okay, cool. Yeah. Like, I never tried to do anything Radio Row at a Super Bowl. I've been to 2 Super Bowl cities for the week, but just did our own thing, grinded, made our own ways. I thought about New Orleans a long time ago. And I'm like, we need to be there. But some different things are taking place back home. So we're going to make that money here. And there's a lot of opportunity to do so. So it's almost weird where if the Eagles weren't in the Super Bowl, it'd be more beneficial for us to be there. But the fact that the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, it's way more beneficial to stay home. Not going to lie to you, though. Wanted to go to New Orleans. Love New Orleans. You ever been to New Orleans?
I have not. I wanted to go out there this year. Me and my lady were talking about it we still are talking about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Nice.
But it was like tunnel vision thing. I feel like when you're there, you get that tunnel vision. You're so into experiencing everything that it's tough what's going on. It's tough to really like focus on your team. I was blessed with an opportunity to go out to the last Super Bowl, not this past one, but the one right after we lost. I was able to go. I was given credentials to that one, but I didn't go. I ended up choosing the Senior Bowl, which I do kind of regret, and I don't at the same time. It was an amazing experience, but it's one of those things that there's so much going on out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And there's an amazing experience, but I think you're 100% right. If it's not the birds, I think I would enjoy it more. I'd be able to kind of, live everything. You know what I'm saying? You're not just kind of looking and being like, is my team going to win? Is all this for no reason? One thing I'll never forget is spending like $600 when the Eagles came out to Tampa to get their butts whooped. And I just never forgot, like, why did I spend all that? I gotta sit at home and dealt with that butt whooping. So it is what it is. I'm sure the people that are out there are going to have a great time.
Oh, God, yeah. It's a great city to have it. There's no doubt about it. New Orleans is definitely a great city to host an event like that. Whether it's a big bowl game, Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. That's the place to be. Once again, shout out everyone checking in here. Hector checking in. Said, what up, Joe Castro? Fiction checking in. Sunday needs to get here now. You're damn right. I see Luke checking in. Shout out to Luke Arcani, who created our great overlays and some of the graphics that we're using this week. We are full systems go here, full steam ahead, all systems go, and all things Super Bowl, man. This is what it's all about. So if the Gambler has been doing a lot this week, we will continue to do so. And Joe, you're doing a great job with us. So let's continue this and finish strong, and hopefully the Eagles will do the same for us here coming up on February 9th. Now, let's go ahead and ask this question. Where were you as far as your bravado level last week? As we get closer, are you starting to be susceptible to the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are a really good team? And, oh, by the way, now we're hearing different stats, and it's kind of making you look at it a little bit differently? Or are you starting to feel a little bit more confident as far as the Eagles in this matchup here? Because for me, full disclosure, I was thinking it's going to be a last possession ball game, fourth quarter, back and forth, knock them down, drag it out. And then a couple days ago, I'm like, man, I just feel like the Eagles are going to smack them.
Yeah.
And then I have to come back down to earth and reality and dude, this is Mahomes. This is the Kansas City Chiefs. Are they unsmackable? The Bucs smacked them, but they had issues on the offensive line. I just think that if in the cliche, play your game. If you don't turn the football over, the Eagles play their game. I really do think that they could smack the Kansas City Chiefs. That could be bias. That could be a little bit too much bravado. But, man, I just feel like in all the right areas, secondary, regardless of the fact that they're rookies, I do feel like they're going to be in the back pockets of Xavier Worthy, Juju. Kelsey's Kelsey. He's going to get his, but he's a step slower than he was in 57. I'm just starting to talk myself into more and more that the Eagles are going to win this football game. Put the smack to the side. I love the Birds coming out on top on February 9th.
I'm not going to let you talk me into it. I'm trying to stay even keel. I'm going to be honest with you. Once I knew we were going to play the Chiefs, I felt this is going to be a very close game. There's going to be a knockout, drag them out type of game. And that's it. You're playing one of the best, if not the best quarterback we've ever seen. Talent-wise, you can make an argument, maybe the best. Obviously, ring-wise, he's getting there. And we're looking at a head coach that we all know very well. And I think we all still have love for Big Red. But he's one of the best head coaches of all time. Oh, yeah. And you're going against one of the best tight ends of all time. You're going against a defensive coordinator that is very, very good. I won't say best of all time, but very, very good. A very good track record. He was with the Eagles for, we know these guys. We know everybody on that other side. So while I won't say that I think that this is going to be we're going to go out there and knock them out, I think that if one team does blow the other out, it will be us blowing them out. I don't think that they have 1 through 53 like we do. I truly do believe, even if something happens, if one of, God forbid, let me knock on some wood, but if something happens to anybody on this old line, you know what I'm saying? I have confidence that we have guys that have shown that they can go in there and make some plays. If something happens to, God forbid, anybody, I don't want to keep naming people because then it's going to happen and I'm going to be to blame. But if anything happens, I feel like we have the next man up, right? We have guys that have experience. We've seen what Oren Brooks could do. We've seen what, Milton Williams, what Moro Jamo, what we can keep going down the list, right? I feel good about Fred Johnson if he has to go in there for a couple of snaps. So it's like you have so many players. It does come down, and I know we don't want to be, cliche, but it does come down to just playing your game. The one thing I think is beautiful about the Eagles is that we can play any game and make it our type of game. We can, if you want to, make this air the ball out, we got to score 35, we can do that. If you want to make this a slow, where there's only 10 possessions between the two of us, we can play that game and probably better than any other team. I think that this Chiefs team has a very good defense, but not great, not as good as the last one we played. I think that their offense is Mahomes. I truly do. If you don't let me, which this is easier said than done, but if you don't let Mahomes stay in that pocket running around for 5 seconds, Xavier Worthy's really the only wide receiver that kind of worries me. I mean, Juju's not really all that great, in my opinion. I think a lot of these wide receivers, if not all of them, all of their weapons, realistically, are made better because of Patrick Mahomes. So in my opinion, you're playing Patrick Mahomes, you're playing Andy Reid, you're playing Spagnola's mind, and you're playing the refs. Am I allowed to say that? I mean, it kind of comes out to that. You got to kind of be cognizant of what you're doing around Patrick Mahomes. So I think that we can blow them out. Do I think that's what's going to happen? No, I think that is going to come down to the fourth quarter. And I think that even that, I really feel confident. I'll say this much, and I'll throw it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to the last 2 years, you go back to how the last 3 years. I've never had confidence in this defense that you put them out on the last drive, they'll get it done. This is the first time in a long time. I didn't even have this confidence about the 2017 defense. But you put this defense out there against anybody. I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes. I don't care if it's Jackson Mahomes. I don't care if it's his wife. Whoever, you could put Taylor Swift herself out there. I have confidence that my team can go out there and stop anybody. So that's a beautiful thing. Confidence is a beautiful thing, Sean.
Oh, man. Out. Amen to that. You're right about that. The confidence is there. I apologize. Is it fiction? Is that how I'm supposed to pronounce this,
I think
Joe?
It's function.
All right, my bad. All right. Cooper DeJean and Mitchell makes a different game. I don't see Mahomes having time to execute at a high level this week. Now, look, Mahomes is Mahomes, and we don't need to explain that. Everyone understands how good he is and what his strengths are. He's so athletic. And he's got such a cannon for an arm that, like, you just give him a sliver of an opportunity, he's going to make it work. And, oh, by the way, the ultimate difference for all these quarterbacks at the professional level is the brain. It's what's inside. Yeah. Mahomes slows the game down like no other, and that's why he's doing it at the level like he is like no other. I do think when you get into the X's and O's, though, and like I said, just really focusing on the defense for the Eagles here, I'm with you as far as the like having them with the opportunity to win the game at the end. I'm right there. Yeah, like the same thing against the Rams. I was nervous, but bend but don't break. Like this team is good inside the red zone. They don't give up touchdowns. So I think that's going to be consistent with Sunday. I think that's pretty much how it's going to work out, no matter the offense that the Chiefs are going to roll out there. And I do expect them to have some different looks, some corn dogs, as Andy Reid will pull out there. And he's a mastermind, understood. But I really do feel really confident about Fangio, about the defensive line with Jalen Carter getting this opportunity to shine on a global stage. Nolan Smith really coming into his own. Zach Baum proving his worth. What is the deal with Nakobe Dean? What's the latest there with Nakobe? He's done, right?
He's done. Yeah, he's done. I mean, we're looking at getting Brandon Graham back, which, I don't want to hype myself up too much on Brandon Graham, but I do think that emotionally that'll be big. I think just to have him out there would be huge.
It'd be unbelievable.
With this defense, though, and to kind of piggyback off what Function was saying, I think that going back to 2022 in this defense, our front four was great, right? Nobody's denying that. Our front four was awesome. But once you got past that, there was holes. There was definitely leaks. There was holes. There was, weaknesses in our armor. I don't think you can say that this year. Like he said, you got Cooper, you got Quinyon, you got, Reed Blankenship is having a great underrated year. You even look at the linebackers. You still obviously got Zach Bond, but Burks has been good. Burks has been
playing
good.
His ass off, man. Anytime he's called, yep.
So it's like, I do believe back in 22, and I hate to keep going back to that because I know it's different, but back in 22, you had to get to him. You had to get to the quarterback. Our defense, if you didn't get to the quarterback, it was a wrap. You saw it throughout the season, not even just the Super Bowl. If they got the ball out their hands, there was usually a guy on the other end catching it. This year, I don't hold my breath whenever the quarterback throws the ball. I'm actually like, all right, who's going to pick that one off? There's been so much playmakers on this team. We can go through all 11. They're all going to be important. And on defense, on the defensive line especially, got such a good rotation. Like you said, Nolan's getting into his own. If you can add a Brandon Graham for 10, 15 snaps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that. No other team can do that. Brandon Graham has been playing very, very well when he was healthy the past 2-3 years. So nobody else can say, oh, and we can add a Brandon Graham last minute. Cool. It's going to be beautiful.
No, look, Brandon Graham, whether he gets in there or not, the fact that he's going to be on the sideline, he's already down there. He's running his mouth. I saw him at the at this media night, and it's all over. They just had Andy Reid and Sirianni shaking hands. Pretty cool stuff just to see it, and it's starting to get the juices going a little bit more. I mean, we got a little ways to go, but still, it's Super Bowl week. No, you're right. And when it comes to the secondary, I love the way that they're going to match up. Some people are questioning whether or not you want two rookies in this position. These guys are extremely talented, and Quinyon and Coop, they just have a different style to them, right? Like mentally, more than anything, they're quiet, but they're assassins, they're attackers, and skillful, athletic. The Senior Bowl, I read somebody talking about how somebody quoted like there's nobody as talented as Quinyon Mitchell was last year, but these are a few games, and then how he gets Quinyon to follow him in the draft and grabs him, and Cooper DeJean, same thing. Like these guys are born to make plays at the next level here, and here they are playing at the Super Bowl. Really, really cool stuff. It was funny. I talked to Will Shipley on Saturday night. That was pretty cool. He came to the Wings game that I was hosting at, and we were just talking, and I brought that up to him. I said, man, we saw that video on the timeline where Coop and Quinyon were like, man, can you believe it? Rookies were in the Super Bowl. And I'm like, dude, this is a moment for you, man, regardless. He's like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And Shipley might play. Speaking of injuries, Gainwell was listed. No need to get caught up at this point in time, but we'll see how he progresses this week. But Gainwell was on the injury report. Will Shipley, if his number's called, Saquon needs a blow, knock on wood, maybe gets dinged up, needs to come out a little bit. Is Shipley the next guy in line?
I think he has to be. I mean, you have to feel confident in him. I understand looking at numbers, right? If you just look at numbers, you look at box scores, what has Will Shipley done? Really not much outside of his last, game that it went great. That was kind of cool to see. I'm not gonna lie.
He got PT cool. In what, the Giants game? Did he get?
He got a little bit. I mean, he's gotten a little bit throughout the season, but nothing crazy, But if I'm Stoutland, who has a hand in the run game, if I'm, Nick Sirianni, Kellen Moore, you have to feel confident enough to just put him in last game. I mean, I know we were up. Don't get me wrong. Him fumbling the ball one time wouldn't have ruined the game, but that would have ruined his confidence. That definitely would have, kind of hurt a little bit as a rookie going into a position like that. So I think them being able to do that, showing that extra confidence in him, like, hey, go out there and do something, Rook. I think that was perfect timing. It was needed. And yeah, I think that he's ready. Not to be a full-time guy, but if he gets, 10 touches in some weird way, I'm cool with that. I think he'll make the most out of them. And I think he's a pretty darn interesting goal line backer or red zone type of back, because he can definitely bruise them. He can go up that middle and knock some heads. So, and he doesn't have the breakaway speed I think we all wanted to see, especially on that long run. So I think there's definite areas that you can utilize him. I think if you want to use all three of them, use Gainwell as somebody that you can use more as a receiver. I think that's kind of what he's best at, in my opinion. So you can utilize all three of these guys. I think Eagles fans have been asking forever to have that kind of duo or trio of having that fast scat back, having a receiving back, and having a bruiser type. And this is probably the closest we've been in a while. So I wouldn't mind seeing all three of them. I think that if that's your game plan, you're slowing down the game, you're taking away possessions from Patrick Mahomes. So let him go, man. Let the ship sail. Let Shipley sail. I like that.
Let Shipley sail. I like that as well. All right. Having some fun here. Eagles at Night on a Monday edition, opening up Super Bowl week. Questions, comments, concerns. We'd love to have you over there, as I'm putting some out on Instagram, putting that link out on Instagram, getting people to join us via YouTube. Coming in here, Shipley is a solid number 2. We may need him to be LeGarrette Blount. Hey, look, we'll see. Saquon, the injuries that we just discussed, with whether it's Gainwell, offensive line is at the forefront. Dickerson was already limping going into that game, couldn't finish. Juergens goes in, dealing with a bad back. Still, though, Stoutland we trust, as you pointed out. But Saquon is the one that, look, he did have a little bit of an issue with his calf. He did have the gun that he was shooting up and, getting that muscle loose. So I don't want to see that come back and activate some way, somehow, but it's a possibility. So if it is, like I said, Shipley's number will be called if Gainwell is unable to go. So That's a scary thought. Nobody wants to have it. Nobody wants to see it, but anything is possible at this point in time.
Yeah, and we got some good news as far as Cam Jurgens goes. He was getting interviewed and said he's good to go. So
Nice.
that's obviously huge.
Well, he went in. He's an animal. Absolutely.
Yeah, that moment I think doesn't get talked enough about, or at least those series of moments, right? When you're seeing the blood coming from Landon Dickerson, when you're seeing him waving off Cam Jurgens and Cam Jurgens chasing him, saying, "Bro, let me go in for you." That shows what type of team we are, and even through all these the media week and everything, constant that you're hearing from our Eagles players is how former Eagles players. You even saw Brent Selleck out there running routes. You see all these former Eagles players. This means something a little bit different. And you tell me if I'm off base here. I feel like as an Eagles fan and as a franchise, this is the next step. I think that the first two Super Bowl, or not the first two, but the past two Super Bowls, I'll say, it was like, we're happy to be here. Let's go. Let's go and try and win this. Let's finally do this. Now it's kind of like, we belong here. We're supposed to be here. We want to be here almost every year. Like, we have a different type of just different, like you said, bravado, right? It's a different feel in Philadelphia. We're no longer the underdogs. We're no longer the guys that, are just happy to be there. We belong here. This is ours. We deserve this. And I think especially this team, it feels like they deserve it. We are head and shoulders on paper. And obviously paper, we don't play the game on paper, but on paper, we are head and shoulders better than the Chiefs. I'll argue till my face is blue. You can say, listen, you could give me, hey, Patrick Mahomes is better than Jalen. I'll take that. Everything else, you can make an argument for tight end. I don't think it's that big of a gap with Dallas Goedert and Travis Kelce. I think you can go down the line and make a very good argument for every single player on the Eagles team. Jalen Carter, Chris Jones. I'm taking Jalen Carter. I mean, they have good defense. They have a good secondary. I'm taking my secondary. So I think we deserve this, and I think that it's a different feeling. I think that we all know we belong here. We deserve to be here, and this won't be the last time. Even though it's the second time for Jalen, this definitely won't be the last time for Jalen. We have something very, very special brewing in Philadelphia.
No, you're right. Karlaftis is no joke for the defensive end. Yeah, he's coming in. He's really filled in nicely for them. Nolan Smith is coming into his own, so I would give them the advantage there slightly. But we got him at linebacker. We have him at secondary. I know McDuffie is nasty. They have a good secondary. It's tight. It's very tight. But the proof is there. The Eagles were the #1 overall defense. Like, we're not making it up. Offensive line as a whole, you have to give it to the Eagles. Tight end, I'm a little bit more towards Kelce than you are versus Goddard, but at the same time, the chemistry is there between Jalen and Dallas. So I wouldn't argue that with you. I think you're probably a little bit closer and probably a little bit more right than I am. Wide receivers, not even a question.
Yeah, not even.
You said quarterback. We know Mahomes is Mahomes. Yeah. Jalen Hurts is balling, but Mahomes is Mahomes. Coach is a big one, though. Coach, got to give Andy Reid over Sirianni. It's just the fact.
Now, I want to ask you, because I feel like I know I've argued with a lot of people about this, all right? And I've never been on the I hate Nick Sirianni train. I personally have always loved Nick Sirianni. I'm not just saying that because we're in the Super Bowl right now. But even beginning this season,
always loved them, like never questioned
them. I won't say
them.
always loved. I won't say always loved. Maybe love's a strong word.
Yeah, right? I never hated them, but at the same time, like, it's like, well, first of all, I'm done. I'm done doubting him because I've doubted him 2 times, and now both seasons he's made the Super Bowl. So that's where I'm at. Like, he's proven me wrong. Like,
maybe you need to keep doubting him, Sean.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, maybe I need to stay. Like I said, I'll take Andy Reid over Sirianni. Okay, there you go. I'm doubting him right now, so therefore, hopefully, he will coach Andy Reid's ears, and we'll see what happens. But my point is this: the thing I would say about with the Sirianni discussion for people is they don't admit when they were wrong. Yeah. And if you are a Sirianni doubter, if you're a Sirianni, if you're not a Sirianni guy, and I was in that box. You could check the box. I was not a Sirianni guy. I'm wrong. He has proved his worth. He has gotten to another Super Bowl. He has turned this season around, which was looking like, man, it could get ugly, specifically what took place last year to carry over. That loss to Tampa Bay was so frustrating, so ugly. Didn't look like they wanted any part of the South Florida weather. You know it better than most. But at the end of the day, he has turned it on. They go on a 10-game win streak. The only game that they lost is because Jalen Hurts gets hurt. If he doesn't get hurt, they probably go on a run and haven't lost since the Tampa Bay game. So here we are. He has proven everybody wrong, all the doubters wrong. So my thing is this: it's okay to say that you weren't, but you have to come around and admit that you were wrong. And he's done a great job.
Yeah, and you can even, shout out to my guy Black Gritty. I think you know him as well. But he hates Nick Sirianni. I'm not taking a shot at him right now, but he'll admit it. He'll be like, "Listen, I just don't like him. I don't like what he does. The extracurricular, and that's fine. I totally understand that.
You gonna love him if he wins?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry for taking a shot, but no, it's true. Look, I get the extracurricular stuff. Do I love that he runs up and down the sideline? I kind of do. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's cool, but I can see how that's kind of obnoxious to some people. Some people look at a certain position and think that it's supposed to go a certain way. The True. Eagles, and that's why I feel like a lot of people hate the Eagles. We don't look like a team supposed to look. You got the quarterback with a bunch of swag that doesn't say anything, isn't necessarily the rah-rah guy that you see with a Pat Mahomes. We're going crazy, and I saw a 10-minute loop of Jalen Hurts saying, "That's what I do" last game. We are so hungry for stuff like that from our quarterback, but he's not that type of guy. You got a wide receiver in AJ Brown that everybody assumes he's mad. Like every time, it doesn't matter. They just assume he's mad. Saquon Barkley's not supposed to be the type of team person he is. Like he's like he's like a nanny out there. It's crazy to hear how he talks to these young people. Yeah, it's like he's such a team player, and that wasn't the narrative going into this year. There were so many things said. So I say that to say this. I feel like the NFL fans, media especially, I know we kind of fall into that umbrella, but it is what it is. I think a lot of people don't expect us to work. They don't expect, you look at Nick Sirianni with the emotions that he has, and Vic Fangio with the opposite emotions that he has. We're not supposed to work. This isn't what the NFL is supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like Andy Reid. It's supposed to look like Patrick Mahomes. It's supposed to look like Josh Allen with his arm. And people hate that this is what the NFL is right now, because we're going to be the Super Bowl champs. And then people are going to want to copy what we do. So I love it. I'm so happy that we're hated, because it means we're doing something right. Like 10 years ago, nobody cared about what the Eagles were doing. Nobody was talking junk about us. To hear people say that they'd rather see the Chiefs win than the Eagles, it brightens my heart. It just lifts my soul. I love to be hated. It's an amazing feeling. I'm gonna be real.
I could listen to you spit about this all night, Joe. And you're so true. It's so true, because when people do look at the Eagles, there is like, man, you guys are bogus. Oh, wait, you guys 14 wins? Oh, we just lost you? I thought you guys were going to drop off. Like, had a terrible season. Jalen Hurts, he's a bum, blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, so sorry. I'm watching the Fox broadcast. So the guy that was dressed up like a toy soldier is Cooper Manning. I believe that's the brother's name, right? Yeah. So you got Eli, you got Peyton, and then Cooper. So he was dressed up like Cooper, and he was trying to get a little something from Jalen, and Jalen wasn't giving him anything. And he even butted him. I'm like, dude, get away from him. Because he was like, "Hey,
Winston's out there asking questions."
Yeah, I saw that. Jameis just needs to hang it up now and become a media.
Yeah,
like he is going. He's the next star. He is the next star, and whatever Jason Kelce is right now, I think Jameis could be 10 times that. I really do. Yeah. He's incredible.
I'd love to see. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'd love to see him on a team in a capacity of a coach. I feel like he's a lot smarter than we give him credit for. You know what I'm saying? Especially X's and O's.
Jameis he's first of all, Jameis was like one of the top recruits coming out of high school. Goes to college, wins a national championship, puts the team on his back. It was a really good Florida State team, but still, like, Jameis is the real damn deal. I think he could be a coach. I'm with you there. Maybe that is interesting to him, but there's so much money for him, that type of personality. He's almost like a McAfee-esque, right? Yeah. Like loud, boisterous, not afraid, like just doesn't care, on a whole different side of things when it comes to McAfee, but still, Jameis he's the next guy, and I love it. Lord, deliver me from these pick sixes. Yo,
I love hearing talk.
Ryan Beef Coil check-in, and if you could interview one Eagles player this week, who would it be?
That's a good one. I would probably go. I feel like the easy ones are like the offensive guys. I would probably go with Zach Bond. I just would love to know, like,
he was super cool, super nice.
And yeah, you guys had the opportunity to talk to him,
Yeah.
so I would love to steal that opportunity. But no, I think the juxtaposition of being, I hate to, I don't mean this in any rude type of way, but being relatively a nobody at this time last year to being one of the most, if not the most important player on a Super Bowl contending defense, just to know how do you have to change your mindset? I feel like maybe you don't. Maybe it's just you wake up and you do the same thing every day, expecting different results. But there has to be some switch. There has to be something that happened in that transition from, it was Texans, right? He was with, was it the Texans he was with?
Saints.
Saints. There we go. To Philadelphia. And then that aspect of it as well, being able to actually play in New Orleans where they threw you out, him and CGJ. He's another guy I would love to talk to. I think he's so underrated as a huge part of this team, not even just his play. But yeah, I'll say Zach Bond. I think Zach Bond has a story to tell, and I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Hey, look, you took my answer. CJGJ was the second one that went through my mind. The first one was AJ. Like if I can get AJ Brown to sit down with me and open up and just, like be real, and like I'm not trying fishing for any like clickbait. Like I just want to have a great football conversation with you. He is such an interesting dude and so dominant that I would love to pick his brain. But man, CJGJ might be the guy. He might be the guy. Like that dude, what a difference he has made for this team too. And Howie Roseman going, we're going to talk about some possibilities for a possibility for some offseason moves for Howie Roseman in a little bit. But, getting CJGJ back, who, oh, by the way, led the team in interceptions, is a ball hawk and it finds himself around the ball at so many times throughout the course of the game, making tackles for losses at that position. He's a missile. And what was the game that he blew up the line? Like he just battled. I think that was the Falcons. It was the Falcons game. It was the Falcons game that they ended up losing. But still, like, dude, that's the type of ball player you get. I made the argument. I tweeted out there in the game the other day, and I told people save their tweets because Jalen Carter is the best player on defense.
Easily,
but I did say he's one of the more complete players on that roster. And, for my money, like, yeah, Jalen Carter's Jalen Carter, but he's probably number 2 for me. He is that damn good. I'm a huge CJGJ fan.
You bring up Quinyon. I got the opportunity. I'm going to say this, and if people want to, try to fight me, I have receipts. I was one of, if not the first person to be high level interested in Quinyon Mitchell. I'm talking before the Senior Bowl. Every year before the Senior Bowl, I make a list of guys that I'm like, these are the guys we're most likely not going to get because I have draft crushes on them. He was number 1. He was that guy. So when I got to speak to him out there, it was like it was the second or third day that I actually got to speak to him. And he at that point was already, everybody knew who he was. I was out there with my guy, just my guy, James. We were just watching. Every day I would look at him and be like, we're not getting him. We're not getting him. Like, going into it, he was like a second round guy. So I would love to talk to him because going into the Senior Bowl, he wasn't a first round guy. There were people that had him fringe, you know what I'm saying, for more around where he went than, where people thought he would. But after the Senior Bowl, I could have swore he was going to be a top 5 pick, the way people were talking about him. So it would have been interesting to see how he felt kind of going from that to all the way to going to the Eagles to now being one of the best rookies in the league on a Super Bowl team. So there's a lot of good stories on this Eagles team.
Yeah, matter of fact, we're going to find out the award winners this weekend too, as well, aren't we? So our defensive rookie of the year. I know he's not going to win it. Well, it's going to go to Verse, but still he's, in the running. We got cousin Nicky checking in. He said, shout out Joe Castro, killing it on the socials lately. You're damn right. Great team effort all the way across the board. All right, final couple minutes here. We appreciate everyone checking in. Any final questions, comments, or concerns? Love to have you. We're going to take this up to about 9:50. You got Joe Castro. You got myself, Sean Brace. One quick one here before we dive into this offseason question. And I asked you for any topics that you wanted me to tee you up on. And you wanted to talk a little bit about legacy. And because everyone's talking Mahomes' legacy, but this is big, obviously, for Sirianni and Hurts. No doubt about that. Now, you could take it a little bit further. But when you talk about legacies, I kind of stumbled into this morning or this afternoon, Joe, where I said, like people put Jalen Hurts in conversations he has no business being in. And that is on the negative side. I'm not talking about the positive side. Now, John took that on the flip side and said, yeah, but he has an issue when you want to put Jalen Hurts on the same platform or in the same bucket as Mahomes, Burrow, and Lamar. And I think maybe Josh Allen as well. And I just said, well, like, how are we grading? What are we doing here? Because that's what's hitting me more than most. Like, it's not, and Mark Henry Jr. said this, and he's so right, where he said, dude, he is graded so differently than any other quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Just specifically talking about 57's performance. He threw for over 300 yards, rushed for 70 on 15 carries, had a touchdown passing and 3 touchdowns rushing. It's like, and it's not the point that people are trying to find something negative about that performance, but like, I can't look at Joe Burrow in the same light as Jalen Hurts with everything he's doing. Dude, I would take, like, Lamar is on a different stratosphere. He's unbelievable. Mahomes is Mahomes, no doubt about that. But Josh Allen, dude, like, if Jalen Hurts gets this job done, you bet your ass you can't say that anymore. I'll take Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen. There's only been 2 quarterbacks that have ever beaten Mahomes in the playoffs, Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. Jalen Hurts puts himself into a new threshold if he gets over the hump on Sunday. Simple as that.
Yeah, and even deeper than that. Like you said, Jalen Hurts is graded totally different, but winning-wise, he's in a different stratosphere. Same thing with Nick Sirianni. And even if you just want to look at franchise, he wins that Super Bowl, he's the best quarterback in our franchise's history. I think that you can say that. I mean, you can say, look, Cunningham was fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. He had some amazing plays, amazing years. McNabb threw up one too many times for us.
I think you could say that right now, Joe. That's where I'm at. I think Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in franchise history, and it's only because I'm saying that. Look, Nick Foles is Nick Foles. I love and respect Nick Foles. He got the job done, but he's not on that level, right? Donovan was good. Donovan didn't get enough credit. You might be able to say Donovan was great. That's fine, but I've always been in the great/good, like 50-50. Jalen Hurts is great.
Yeah. I think Donovan would have, and people probably would disagree with me, but I think that Donovan would have done better in today's type of game. I think he was a little out of place in that. I think he was a good passer, and obviously we didn't give him enough. That's a whole another story for a whole other time. But people are, like you said, people are gonna point out, oh, he has AJ, oh, he has Devontae, oh, he has this guy. Okay, that's fine. That's all well and dandy. There's a lot of players or a lot of teams out there that have some great players that aren't doing anything with them. All right. So in my opinion, Mahomes is Mahomes. And then the rest of the quarterbacks we talk about as we talk about them. You're never going to tell me that Justin Herbert's better than Jalen. Or let me rephrase that. You're never going to tell me that you would want to take Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts. You could never tell me that you would want to take Josh Allen over Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has done things that no other quarterback can. And it's the humility. It's the humility to understand and be okay with going out there to the media and saying, yes, I had 130 yards. What did we do, though? We won. We won. Other quarterbacks have way too much pride. And look, pride and confidence in your arm, confidence in yourself, saying, I want to be the one to win it. That's all good. That's cool. And it works a lot in high school. It works a whole bunch in high school. And it works sometimes in college. But in the NFL, you need to have a great team. And I think that there's no better picture other than maybe Patrick Mahomes than having a guy that can go out there and just get the ball where it needs to go. Whether that's the running back's hand, whether that's AJ Brown's hand, it's never the defense's hand, though, right? We can't say that all playoffs hasn't been the defense's hand. So I'll take him. A lot of people look at Tom Brady and all they look at is their wins, right? You're gonna hate that I said this. I've looked at their careers, especially up until this point, and they're very similar number-wise. Very similar. And
Brady and Jalen Hurts?
Jalen and Brady hurt. Jalen and Brady, excuse me. Up until this point.
Yeah, Brady hurt. I said Brady hurts. In fact, this is year 5. It's his second Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many things that he has. And again, I bring up Tom Brady to say this. Tom Brady is not the fastest man in the world. He didn't have the strongest arm in the world. You know where he won? With his mind. He had the humility to understand, I'm taking this check down. I'm taking this. This year, we've thrown less deep balls than any other year that Jalen Hurts has been our starter. That is a good thing. That is a
Mhm.
great thing. That is understanding that Jalen Hurts doesn't have to do it on his own. I don't want to go to overtime. I'd rather beat players' heads in, rather beat the teams, no contest. I don't want no contest. Jalen Hurts gives us a better chance to win every single week than 30 other quarterbacks. I think that outside of Patrick Mahomes, you can sit there and say, I'd rather have Jalen Hurts. Unless you want to throw the ball for 500 yards and lose a game, if that's what you want to do, go right ahead, go get another quarterback. But if you want a guy that's going to say, I'm going to do the smartest thing, I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to play within the system and enable us to win a game, I think that there's no better player than Jalen Hurts. And Nick Sirianni's that dude. People gonna wake up very, very soon to what Nick Sirianni is able to do. I've had a million bosses. We all work real jobs, right? My favorite bosses are ones that understand how to delegate, understand how to say, this guy knows how to do that, so let me let him do that. That guy knows how to do that, so let me let him do that. And when they mess up, I'll step in and make sure that they're doing the right thing. Nick Sirianni has run this team perfectly. He meshes with the players. We have so many stars on this team. So many stars on this team. It should implode. As soon as A.J. Brown doesn't have 100 yards, it should have imploded. As soon as Saquon had a bad game, it should have imploded, but it didn't because you have all the right personalities. Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, this is a legacy game. You win this, you go in the books. You go in the Hall of Fame as one of the best duos in the history of football, and it's only going to get better because we're young, and it's only going to get better. I really do believe this starts – not only puts your legacy in cement, right? You go down in history as one of our best coaches and one of our best quarterbacks, but it also starts your legacy. It also gets you going for the next 5 to 10 years that you're going to have Jalen, you're going to have AJ, you're going to have all these guys. I know it's long-winded. I'm hyped. I really do feel like this is the start of something beautiful for the Eagles. So
as the Chiefs are now walking out in the field down there in New Orleans, a lot of people in the stands. Yeah, a lot of people in the stands. No, you're right, and it's a new regime. It's a new time. It's obviously what took place in 57. Still a lot of the same players, but it definitely feels different with the new like Quinion and Cooper and Zach out there and Jalen Carter and maybe no Kelsey is having a little effect on me. Saquon, of course. There's plenty of guys that were there, no doubt about it. Offensive line, AJ, Smitty, we can go down the list, Dallas, but it does feel new and it feels like something could continue to trend in the right direction if they're able to get over this hump here. And I fully do expect it. I know you do as well. With that being said, let's close up shop on this one. We did have some breaking news a little earlier today. Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland. No surprise there. Look, I tend to believe that like there's a little bit shortage of cash, right? Like there's gotta be, like how could you have like all these superstar players on your team and then still have the ability to sign somebody like Myles? And oh, by the way, it's a trade, so you're gonna have to give up a lot to get him. So I'm not holding my breath, but you bet your ass Howie's made that call. You know how he's looking. Like somebody like that doesn't just happen to hit the open market and you not call. And Howie's great at his job. So, I just think like Myles Garrett, of course, the answer is yes. We would all love it, but is it necessarily, something that should happen or it needs to happen? No. But Howie's the GOAT, man. Howie's killing it. And Howie's put this team in a position to win the Super Bowl with everything he's been able to do. So I fully expect him to kick the tires, as they say. But Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland. What do you say to that?
I say let's try. Like you said, at the very least, you make the call. I will, to be positive, to put a hopeful spin on it. He's said he's wanted to play in Philly. He said you never know, right?
Myles said that?
Myles did say that. Not recently, but this was, I think, 2 years ago when we were in the Super Bowl. He said that he would love to play in Philly. He said that a lot of people would love to play in Philly, and you would never know. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that was basically what he said. So, I mean, if there's any, and it seems Cooper Kupp is on the trade block as well now. He asked for a trade, but it seems more like Myles they're going to do the right thing by him. Now, does that mean they'll take a little bit less? Wouldn't be surprised. Cleveland is kind of a mess. And you did bring up that contract. That's a big contract. That's a lot of money. It's going to hinder that value a little bit. And I don't think that teams are going to be biting as much as fans are. I think fans, see Myles Garrett, and of course they want him. But I think there's going to be a select amount of teams that he'll be okay with, and that obviously will be okay with him. And I do think the Eagles fall into that category. So again, it's going to be a lot of, money being moved around. Might not get a guy back like a Milton Williams. Maybe it works something like that you kind of replace him like that. But it's never out of the realm of possibilities. I would give it like a maybe 40% chance that it actually happens. You would have to kind of strike out in free agency. Like, you would probably have to not retain most of your guys for you to really financially make it happen.
Well, always fun to keep the Eagles conversation going, especially in the off season. So we appreciate Myles Garrett for doing that. And look, man, these weeks, these months, they fly right by. So of course, here we are, Super Bowl Sunday. We got a little bit longer to go as far as this season is concerned. Only 2 teams remain. Everybody else, have fun watching us, talking about us. We appreciate the attention as always. And then we'll revisit all things draft and free agency when it gets here. But look, man, first edition of Eagles at Night. It was loose. It was fun. It's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to end the night with all the information that we need to bring to the people from the Eagles perspective. And again, not much happening as far as injuries is concerned. They're going to get out there and practice. We'll get our first report on Wednesday as far as official injury report. That is definitely something that we need to focus on. And again, not get too bogged down. It's Friday's report that will mean the most. Yeah. I fully expect everybody to give it a go. It's the Super Bowl, for crying out loud. So, hopefully Gainwell is 100% and not dealing with those concussion symptoms. So we won't have anything to deal with there. As you pointed out, the offensive line. And we'll see what happens. But, Joe, keep kicking butt and taking names. We'll continue to follow you on YouTube. Checking out your channel, Philly TP. Subscribe. Obviously on socials as well, doing a bang-up job for us on Instagram. Final thoughts before we get out of here, sir?
Eagles fans, enjoy it. Embrace it. You never know when you're going to get back here. We're going to go out there and win Sunday, so just enjoy it. Appreciate everybody that's, shouted us out, showed love today. And Sean, let's do it. Let's get it. Let's do it. Go Birds.
We'll do Eagles at Night a little bit later this week, sir. Appreciate your time. Everybody, check out The Gambler. Please follow us on socials at FoxPHL Gambler. We are live tomorrow starting at 3 p.m. and to finish the story hosted by Sean Bernard, and then back at Eagles at Night tomorrow night. Who the hell do I got, Joe? I forget. I got it written down upstairs. Somebody's joining me now. Yes, that's who it is. Yes. And then Wednesday, I will have Luke joining me on Eagles at Night, but we're going to be doing a lot of stuff here over this week, getting you ready for all things Super Bowl 59. Looking forward to doing it more. Joe Castro, always a pleasure. Stay safe down there in sunny Florida. We'll talk to you later. Everybody, go Birds.
Peace.